Hello, YouTube, and welcome to my channel. My name is Ryan Morgan, and this is Morgan Mindfulness. So in today's video, I wanted to briefly go over my story with mindfulness meditation, including why did I start meditating, as well as where did this journey take me. And so, as many of you might know, just based off of the title, I'm going to be talking about video games and my hopeless addiction to them. So, 6 years ago, I was about 21 years old, and I was working full time as a manager at McDonald's. Slowly but surely trying to work my way up in that company, gain more responsibility, learn new things, yada, yada, yada. But when I wasn't at work, I was gaming. I was playing some form of video game. 24/7, could not help myself. At the time, I had been playing League of Legends nonstop, and I was pretty shit at the game. For those of you familiar with League of Legends, I started playing probably about 4 years before that, and that first 2 years I played, I hovered in bronze 4 and 5, so bottom of the worst of the worst. And even by the time I was 21, still playing on and off. There was probably 6 months or a year or so that I took off here and there, but after 4 years of having played this game, I was barely hovering at the bottom of silver, so I was still in the lower 50% of all players. I sucked. And so I kind of had a dilemma. And the dilemma was, I'm hopelessly addicted to video games and can't stop playing them. And for whatever reason, knowing that doesn't help. I had all sorts of concerned family members coming to me. My mother was a big advocate. I had just been done living with her, 6 months before I went and got my own place. And so she was well aware of how much I played video games and would see it and had been seeing it in me since I was a kid. That was my whole childhood was gaming nonstop. I was on my Game Boy, I was on, RuneScape, you name it, I was trying to play it. And so the question that eventually came to my mind was, if I can't quit, what can I do? Um, And so this is where I discovered a man named Weldon Green. So Weldon Green, for those of you who don't know that name, is a sports psychologist or a performance psychologist who worked with esports organizations such as CLG and TSM Gaming. He's worked with their League of Legends teams on, mindfulness-based meditation, as well as other sports psychology related things. And it kind of reminded me of when I was in high school and I was looking for like ideal careers for myself. And the one that caught my eye was sports psychologist. I always thought it would be cool to work with like, professional football teams and all that. But, by the time I'd gotten older and gotten to 21 and realized how much video games I play competitively compared to physical sports these days, seeing Weldon Green, I was like, holy shit, that's what I want to do. I want to be, a sports psychologist, for professional esports teams. And now, mind you, this isn't, I didn't just magically go, ha, I'm going to go do this thing. I was still hopelessly addicted to video games at this point. So, why all that was cool, and I was digesting as much of Weldon's content as I could, and like learning new things, and trying to go learn more about sports psychology, even thinking about, going back to school. And I think I even applied for college that year. Long story short, I didn't end up going. I did get accepted, but I didn't end up going to college. Um, so, so how do we get to this? So Weldon was offering a program called the Mindfulness Acceptance Commitment Program, which I think he's still offering over at mindgames.gg. Give him a little shout out in this video since he has been, so helpful to me throughout my time. And so I started up his Mac program. And the point of the Mac program, and the reason I was willing to do it despite the fact that I was hopelessly addicted to video games, is the Mac program was a mindfulness meditation course aimed at gamers. It was, the whole point of me taking the course was to get better at playing League of Legends. It was to be able to pay better attention while playing League of Legends. And I have like a couple big takeaways from that experience that I'd like to share with y'all, and are part of why I made this channel, and are part of why going forward a lot of the content I'm going to be doing is coming from this place of wanting to provide value. So when I started the Mac program, I was struggling when it came to my emotional intelligence. And by that, I mean, it was, I was prone to outbursts. Um, given a game of League of Legends, I might be playing AD carry, playing Misfortune, and a jungler would come into my lane, smite my cannon minion, and my reaction to that would usually be something like walking into the jungle and pressing R on the Wraith camp, and then getting the big Wraith smited away from me anyway. So that was an issue. The other issue was I was playing all day, every day. And the last issue that I actually found really interesting is I found out that when I play League of Legends, I have minor anxiety attacks that I didn't realize were anxiety attacks. I just thought they were proof that I was shit at the game. And so this scenario would be team fights. Whenever I would team fight prior to this Mac program, prior to working on my focus and noticing that tunnel vision is essentially the opposite of flow, which is peak performance. And I noticed I would tunnel vision every time there was a team fight. And so I would go from being able to pay attention to like a map and everything that's going on to instantly the only thing that I could really pay attention to was the fact that I had a character on a screen and I was in a big pile and I was pressing hopefully all 4 buttons so that when I was dead, I didn't have anything on cooldown. That was really all I was capable of doing in team fights, and I couldn't correct it because every time I went into a team fight, I tunnel visioned and shut down. And so that was something that I hadn't even really noticed. I just tended to avoid team fighting. I tended to play champions that were a lot better at split pushing and playing on their own. And that was something I had to incorporate into my game, was being able to handle the pressure of that much stimulus coming at me at once, and being able to stay here and present with it instead of letting it overwhelm me. So that was a huge thing that I thought was really, really cool to find out that, little did I know, I didn't actually just suck ass at this thing. I just was having anxiety attacks, and that was something that I could do something about. I could start to use, anti-anxiety techniques to help improve my gaming. So then the second thing that happened is, being a manager at McDonald's, it was a pretty high stress job, not in the sense of, all the decisions matter, but in the sense of when you're busy, surrounded by a bunch of people who, half the people there are hardworking and half the people there are just there to get a paycheck. And then, some managers are prepared for stress and some of them don't handle it so well, including myself on occasion, especially because I was prone to outbursts at this time. I noticed how much the emotional intelligence and how much the stuff from the mindfulness meditation course was applying to my daily life and applying to my work life as well. And I was able to work almost as much with situations in real life as I was with situations in gaming. So I was both able to improve in the game using mindfulness meditation and working my ass off doing that, but I was also able to improve IRL. I was able to become a more emotionally intelligent human being who could start to act in service of his values instead of acting in service of my emotions. And this was huge. It opened up a whole new world for me that I didn't know existed. The amount of times in my head I had sat in an argument or dealing with a situation and I had thought to myself, like, if this person does this thing one more time, then I'm just gonna explode. And like given myself that pre-permission to just act in service of my emotions. um Being able to see that that pattern was there was 100% from going through the mindfulness course, 100% from being forced to slow down and observe myself more. And so that's number two thing on the list that I'm most grateful for when it comes to that mindfulness program and why I stress mindfulness. And then the third thing that I found most interesting is that as I became more and more aware of myself, I started to not want to play video games as much. It just kind of was a byproduct of paying more attention, is suddenly I was more certain of what things that I did want to improve on and that I could go master other things that weren't just gaming. And so, I ended up doing, while I still game from time to time and have definitely used it as a metric to see how much, I've improved in that aspect, because it's really fun to me to be able to hop into a game of League of Legends now and compete at a high platinum, low diamond level when years ago, I I wouldn't have understood 99% of what was going through my head when I play the way I play now. So that's, again, I guess that's another thing is interestingly enough, I went from being a player who was low silver to a high platinum, low diamond player. Um, so when all was said and done, I realized that half the reason I was shit was because I was having anxiety attacks, and it's a lot easier to cope with anxiety than it is to fix the fact that you're shit and don't know why. I was beyond grateful that I was able to improve in my emotional intelligence and be able to start acting in service of my values. I can really ask myself a question before I go to do something a lot of times and be able to say, hey, if your future child was watching you do this right now, is this the kind of behavior that you would like them to emulate? Would you like them to copy what you're doing right now? If the answer is no, then, I'm not acting in service of my values anymore. And so that was the second thing. And then the third thing was, here I am 6, 7 years later, and the video game addiction, I wouldn't say it's gone, because I still love playing games. Even on this channel, I think one of the things I was trying to upload was a Let's Play of Fire Emblem Three Houses. You know, some of the times when I'm streaming games, whether it's, League of Legends, whether it's team fight tactics, games like that. I do still stream games from time to time because it's where I came from. Gaming was what got me into the mindfulness. It's what got me into all of the stuff that I care so much about. However, I also was able to find a passion for, if anything, a passion for flow, a passion for peak performance, a passion for also just awareness and the power of awareness and what that can do for you in your life and what it's done for me in my life. And so I hope going forward that I can start to put out some more content in this direction of the stuff that I value because of not only how much it's done for my life, but how much I know it can do for so many of your guys' lives too. And, I hope we can share this experience together, because if I can figure out how to quit playing games 24/7 as well as improve myself just overwhelmingly over the course of the last 6, 7 years, you can too. I can't stress enough how grateful I am to myself that 6 years ago I started this journey, that I started taking the time on a daily basis to improve myself, not only improve myself, but taking the time on a daily basis to pay attention to myself, really pay attention to myself and listen to what I had to say. And I hope, I know that many of you will be able to experience this with me. Thank you, and I will see y'all in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. Hey, if you like this video, share this video. It helps get it out to more people, and the more people we can help, the better. And then B, it's YouTube. I got to do a call to action. Love you guys, and I will talk to you next time.